Sorry.
I
Ian.
feel like I'm out of breath. My headphones are like crooked. Ha! Fixed it.
Okay, let me just do a quick Facebook Live saying we're going live.
Okay.
How? Yes, I just want to tell the people that are on Facebook to go over to YouTube. And then where do they go? YouTube.com/sixpenceevents. Is that? Okay, what's my YouTube page?
I think it's Josie Stafford.
Oh, shit, go back. Oh, my first swear word.
It's starting.
It's starting. Okay, log out of this.
Check.
Okay, so just videos, and then let's delete this. I can't do it. Oh, shoot. Share on a page you manage. Go live. Happy Wednesday, everyone. It's Wednesday.
Yes.
Okay, happy Wednesday, everyone. I just wanted to let you know that today is the very first day that I'm recording episode 0 of my new podcast, Under the Veil, and you can watch right now live on YouTube. So go check it out and maybe support me, say how pretty I am and how nice I sound and that I'm not shrill and awkward. Okay, great. Thanks, everyone. Okay. Is it happening? I don't know if I want to do an intro on YouTube. Do you think I should? Okay, let's do that. But
Yeah.
then for the actual audio that goes on iTunes, we'll just do a separate intro outro. And the YouTube will just be the actual content that we. Okay, cool. Perfect. Yeah. Do it. Hey, Haley. How's it going?
Hey, Josie. It's going great. How are you?
I'm super excited for this new podcast adventure I'm going on with you.
I know. It's so exciting.
So let's just jump right in, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what questions do you have for me?
Well, I think the first question that everyone always wants to know is how much does a wedding cost?
It costs one arm and one leg, and that's it.
Yeah.
Just kidding. In Minnesota, a wedding costs about $28,000 on average.
Wow.
So an arm and a leg was right,
Yep.
an accurate estimation.
Mm-hmm.
But really, there's a lot that goes into that, right?
Right.
If you get eloped, your wedding doesn't cost $28,000.
Right.
It costs however much it costs to pay a judge at the courthouse to sign a paper and
Yeah.
to say 5 words. If you get married, like Prince Harry at George Chapel or wherever he's getting married,
I wish.
I heard that the cap on their wedding budget is 500,000 euros.
Whoa.
That's $590,000 in American money.
I don't have that kind of money.
Nor I. So really a wedding depends on your budget.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on what kind of wedding you want to have. Do you
Right.
want to have a wedding where everyone gets individualized Kate Spade bangles as their giveaway gift?
It'd be nice.
That would be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Or do you want to have a wedding at, let's say, a community center in Egan? That'd be
Mhm.
nice.
Yeah.
And you have a catering company come in. Maybe you do buffet.
Mm.
Maybe you get your dress at, I don't know, a regular store like David's Bridal or the wedding shop that maybe it doesn't cost $5,000.
Right.
So you could keep your wedding costs a little bit lower
Mm-hmm.
by making wise decisions.
Right.
Or you could keep your wedding costs lower by having other people pay for your wedding.
I like that idea a lot better.
Okay, let's do that. Okay, next question.
Okay, let's see. Usually, like, how long does it take to plan a wedding?
How long does it take to prepare for finals?
A really long time. Like, I'm still not prepared and I have a final.
I feel like same for weddings.
Yeah.
So honestly, I think most people take about a year between when they get engaged, a year to 6 months between when they get engaged and then when they're like, let's do it, let's be married.
Okay.
This is our wedding day.
Mm-hmm.
It can take as long as you want it to, or it can take longer because you're not paying attention or doing the work.
Right.
I think a year is good. Most of my
Okay.
clients, my day of coordinating clients, they hire me anywhere from a year and 2 months before their wedding to 2 months before their wedding.
Okay.
But that's day of coordinating, right? That's
Right.
them saying, I just want you to come and help make sure that everything I planned goes off without a hitch.
Right.
For wedding planning, that's like a year to 2 years in advance.
Wow.
And then just taking it in little bite-sized pieces. So
Mhm.
instead of cramming for your final, you always feel better if you are studying throughout the semester, right?
Exactly.
A little bit, a little bit, a little bit.
Right.
And then maybe like a jam session where you're like, where are all my notes? Let me
Mhm.
organize them and rewrite my flashcards and all of that jazz. So honestly, wedding planning can take as long as you want it to. If you want to have a stress-free engagement where you're super happy and you love
Right.
your fiance, maybe more than 6 months.
Okay.
But if you have a really small wedding where you're just going to the courthouse, or maybe you're having a 30-person or less ceremony in the park,
Mm-hmm.
then you don't need a year
Right.
because that's less details, less people to manage. If you're having your ceremony or reception at the same venue, that could be easier. If you're hiring a wedding planner, so much easier.
Right.
If you're doing it on your own and you're doing lots of DIY decor, and maybe you're making these really cool concrete vases that votives sit inside, and you also want to have a big banner as your backdrop for your first dance where you hand calligraphy write the words to your first dance song,
Mm-hmm.
let's not do that
No.
the week before your wedding.
Right.
Let's have more time to plan that. I always think it's smart to start with a Pinterest board
Mm-hmm.
as soon as you feel like you might get married,
Right.
which could be age 6, and that's fine.
Yeah. Like me.
Just have one. Just have like a growing list of ideas that you like. That way, when it comes to the time where you actually have a wedding date set, you kind of have a base and a foundation. You know what you don't
Mhm.
want.
Right.
And I think that makes wedding planning a lot easier, smoother, quicker,
Yes.
all of those things.
So then that leads me to my next question, which you mentioned a wedding planner versus a coordinator. So what does a wedding planner do? And then how is that different from the coordinator that my wedding venue provides or an actual day of coordinator?
Love this question. Okay, so a wedding planner works specifically with you to plan your wedding, to find you the vendors that will work best for your wedding, to design your wedding, making sure that the decor matches your aesthetic of your relationship. They're concerned about your entire day
Okay.
from start to finish. They're probably also concerned with the day before, your rehearsal,
Right.
your groom's dinner, if you're having a groom's dinner or rehearsal dinner. And they're also concerned about how you're managing that planning beforehand.
Right.
The on-site coordinator that a venue might provide, their number one concern is the venue because that's who they work for.
Right.
They are concerned about turning on the lights, making sure the heat works,
Mm-hmm.
toilets are running
Right.
properly. They also want you to leave at the end of the night on
Okay.
time.
Yep.
Maybe if you're having drinks at your at your wedding, they want to make sure that you're not over drinking
Yeah.
and being reckless and breaking things.
Mm-hmm.
Some really great venue coordinators will also care about the flow of your day. So they'll be there early. They'll kind of check on you. Maybe they'll bring you water. They'll make sure that if you need anything that they can be of assistance for, that they're providing that assistance. That's some venue coordinators.
Right.
I wish it was all and every single one of them. I mean, all the venue coordinators that are my friends do that. But by and large, venue coordinators are concerned about the venue.
Right.
They will help you create a general timeline for when you're going to be at the venue. But let's say you're not getting ready at the venue.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to help you figure out how many people are getting ready for your wedding and how long it takes to get them ready. Like
Right.
if there's 7 people, what time do you need to start at? They're just like, well, you can come at the venue anytime after 10.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, okay, thank you for your help.
Right.
So there's that kind of gap. Also, the venue venue coordinator might not necessarily be able to help you with transportation, right? Because they don't necessarily care about how you get to the venue, just that you are able to get to the venue and they'll have the doors unlocked for you and paper towels in the bathroom.
Okay.
So that's a big difference. So wedding planner, venue coordinator, then there's also a little thing called day of coordinating. And that's like my bread and butter. I love day of coordinating. What a day of coordinator does is works with you before the wedding on your timeline to make sure that you are not being crazy town and only allotting 1 hour for your first look, bridal party pictures, and pictures with your fiance.
Right.
That's crazy town.
Yeah.
Unless you don't have a bridal party,
Mm-hmm.
maybe less crazy town, but still not ideal if you actually want pictures of you and your fiance before you get married.
Right.
So working on the timeline, then also attending the rehearsal. So, hi everyone, I'm Josie. I'm their day of coordinator. I'm the boss. Listen to me. And then run the rehearsal.
Right.
On the day of the wedding, basically a cruise director, but on land. So I'm the one that everyone's going to and is looking to for questions like, where are the extra napkins that have the embossed hearts on them?
Right.
Whatever. Or I'm the DJ, where do I plug in my equipment? All of that stuff, they would go to the day of coordinator instead of going to the bride or the groom or their mom or their sister or even the personal attendant, who is a great addition to a wedding, but likely has no idea what people are asking them of, because they're like, I'm just here to fluff my friend's dress and help her pee. Like, that's what I got into.
Right.
So day of coordinating is a part of wedding planning. It's included. But it can also be separate if you are thinking, I can plan my wedding on my own. I just want to make sure I'm not going to crazy town.
Right.
And I'm being like in the realms of normal wedding necessities as far as the timeline goes, as far as ideas go. If you're thinking, I'd like to have 600 candles lining the ceremony aisle, does your venue allow candles? It's kind of a basic question, but that's a thing that all wedding planners know. Most venues will say, that's a huge fire hazard. We can't do that. And now you know that because you listen to this podcast. But before, you would have needed a day of coordinator. Now you're set. No,
I'm so
just kidding.
Okay, so I think that definitely gives, people and me a general idea. So then, in a wedding, you need vendors, lots of vendors.
Lots.
So what do I do with that? How does that work?
Yeah. Okay. So Pinterest board, right? You have this one pin, and it's a really pretty arbor, and it's wrapped in white peonies and a bunch of greenery, like ruscus. And it also has a small little table in the middle where you can put your pot of a plant, and you're gonna like do a plant tree ceremony during your wedding ceremony. Okay, so that's what you want. You want that at your wedding. How do you find the vendors that will provide that? Well, a lot of that is finding a wedding planner that can tell you that the florist might not necessarily be able to provide that tree that you want to plant or the bucket that it goes into. Or the rental company that provides that arbor might not necessarily be able to provide the flowers that go on it. So some of that is really education and finding the people that can help you be educated.
Right.
But then also finding vendors and asking the right questions. I like to use big vendor, whatever, search places. What are those called? You know, the place where you go, like the Knot or Wedding Wear or Twin Cities Wedding Association.
Yeah.
And you go online and you can search by vendor category.
Okay.
So likely you would start with florist, right? Because you're like, I want those peonies.
Right.
So you'd start there and you'd need to ask those questions up front to your florist. Can you provide an arbor, flowers for the arbor, a little stand, and a pot for a tree planting ceremony? You'd have to ask those questions. If you don't ask them and you just assume, oh, they'll be able to do it because a tree is a plant and flowers are plants and that's what they do. They're a florist.
Right.
Then you might be severely disappointed when it comes to a month before your wedding and you forgot to even mention it. And then you mention it and they're like, well, I don't have trees.
Right.
What kind of seedling do you want? So a lot of it is being upfront and asking vendors the right questions. And then kind of going on this little down the rabbit hole. So you're finding a florist and the florist says, I can do the flowers, but I don't have any arbors. And I know of places that you can rent them from. Here's a list. So then you go to those places that you can rent them from and you ask, I need an arbor. And they say, oh, yes, we have an arbor. Did you know we also have tables? And we have a little table and it's super adorable and decorative. And you could put like a little pot on it for a tree planting ceremony. So then now you have that. Along that way, other things are going to come into play, right? Because your wedding probably isn't just your ceremony and standing in front of this arbor, though that would be pretty.
Yeah.
It's probably also other things. So let me just interject really quickly with the basics of a wedding.
Yeah.
So we've got getting ready in the morning. And during getting ready, you're going to probably pass out flowers to your bridal party, boutonnieres, and bouquets. Okay, so that's also part of what the florist would provide. You might have a first look before your ceremony, which I totally advise because then you have more time for pictures.
Right.
During that first look, you'll have your own bouquet if you're a bride, a large 20-pounder. and then you'll probably also have a boutonniere if you're a groom. Or not. You don't have to be a bride and have a bouquet. You could be a bride in a suit with a boutonniere. That could be a thing.
Right.
Whatever you want to do. Then you'll have pictures with your bridal party if you have one. They all have flowers. Then you have your ceremony with that arbor and the tree planting ceremony. Then you might have a receiving line or a way to greet your guests in between the ceremony and the reception. The reception includes appetizers, dinner dancing, etc. So we have this florist, right? And we found the florist that we like, and they're going to provide flowers for the ceremony, but then also for our bridal party. And then what about table decor? So maybe there's something that goes on the tables that is floral related. We found a rental company to provide an arbor, so they're going to provide that arbor. What other decor items do we need? Maybe it's linen for the dinner tables. Maybe we're having high top cocktail tables and we want floor length linen for that as well.
Fancy.
Rental company. I know. I love floor length linen. What about a charger? A charger is a pointless plate that goes under the real plate.
Right.
But it's pretty. And we need that.
Right.
That could also be from the rental company. So there's all these things that kind of span out from just one inspiration photo that will guide you when you're planning and looking for vendors. So I know I want that arbor with the flowers on it. And then because I booked those two vendors, the florist and the rental company, now that's going to push me into the reception part or the bridal party part.
Right.
So really using resources online like the Knot Wedding Wire, Twin Cities Wedding Association. Those are my go-to and my favorites. Also using, what about Instagram? And just search hashtag Minnesota Bride.
Yeah.
Or hashtag ceremony arbor.
Yeah.
Or hashtag tree planting ceremony. And see what comes up. Obviously, if you don't use a location-specific word in the hashtag, then you could get a vendor in Czechoslovakia.
Right.
Which might be your thing. Maybe
Right,
you
it'd
do
be
want
cool.
a photographer that's from a different country.
It'd just be really expensive.
Maybe you don't. Yes. So using kind of like in Minnesota, we use hashtag Minnesota
Right.
bride, Minnesota wedding, MN.
Mhm.
Using that to kind of help narrow things down. You can also ask friends that have gotten married,
Mhm.
what vendors did you like at your wedding?
Right.
And they will tell you
Yeah.
with brutal honesty. I loved my florist. She was amazing. She gave me an extra toss bouquet, even though I didn't even ask for one.
So nice. Wow.
Might do that.
Yeah.
Not every florist does that, so let's not set the bar so high.
Yeah. Maybe not.
Josie said you give us a free toss bouquet. So yeah, I mean, finding vendors can seem like a difficult endeavor, but it's not if you just are open and use our friend called Google.
Right.
Just search it.
Yeah.
Use location-specific words, though, so you don't get your heart set on an arbor that is actually in New Jersey and you live in Washington.
Right.
And no one is coming to your wedding from New Jersey. Or maybe someone is. I have a wedding in October, and the groom is originally from New York, and he loves a bakery, and someone from his family is bringing the wedding cake from New York to Minnesota.
Oh my gosh.
I know, it's really nice.
That's so nice.
I hope that's a real thing and I didn't just make it up. But I'm pretty sure Ned told me that. That's a real thing.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
Wow. So then, along the lines of vendors, then how do I know it's a good fit for me? Like, that,
Yes.
yeah.
How do you know? Because how horrible if you show up and your DJ is not who you thought he was going to be.
Right.
And you're like, dang it, this guy's going to be playing music all night long. So the best way to get to know vendors is to meet with them,
Mm-hmm.
to ask them questions about their personality and to match them to your personality or vice versa.
Okay.
So let's say your ceremony with the white peonies flower arbor, you want to have a string quartet
Mm-hmm.
as the music that you're going to walk down the ceremony to.
Right.
But you don't want it to be a cheesy string quartet.
Right.
We love that one song, 1,000 Years, Christina, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Christina Perry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Twilight. But you don't want it to be a Twilight wedding. So you
No.
don't want them to play that song as much as you love it. I walked down the aisle to that song to a string quartet. Okay, anyways. So maybe you want something that's a little funkier.
Mm-hmm.
You want string quartet players that have beards and wear flannel and play something a little more with a beat. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm making all of this up.
Be fun.
So when you're looking for a string quartet, I use hashtag MN string quartet on Instagram
Mm-hmm.
and a picture comes up. Please don't anyone do this because I don't know if it's real. And a picture comes up of a gentleman with a flannel shirt and a beard playing a violin. Well, that would be a great sign that that's a good fit for you.
Right.
Meet with that person and make sure when you meet with them, they're not like, oh, yeah, my girlfriend made me dress up and do that picture.
Right.
Like, that's not who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Red flag, that's not who they
Yeah.
are. So meet with your vendors.
Mm-hmm.
Ask them what kinds of music they like to play. Does that match what kinds of music you want to hear?
Right.
If it doesn't, that doesn't mean they're not necessarily a good fit,
Okay.
right? If they're
Mhm.
like, oh, usually we play this, but we've been wanting to branch into this,
Right.
and we'd love to play it at your wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay, so let's get off the music example because I feel like it's not my best example I've ever given. Let's say you're looking at a photographer.
Mm-hmm.
For sure, do a consultation, in-person consultation if you can with them.
Right.
See if your personalities vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Are we getting along?
Mm-hmm.
I always like to tell if we're getting along, me and my day of coordinating clients, do you laugh at my jokes? If you don't laugh at my jokes, holy Hannah, I have to walk away.
Right.
This is not going to
It's-
be good.
no.
Because I'm just going to keep trying harder to
Mhm.
make you laugh at my jokes,
Mm-hmm.
which means the jokes are going to get worse. So see if you vibe in that
Mhm.
consultation. For photographers, it's really easy to see if you're a good fit because you can do your engagement session with them. So
Mm-hmm.
go take pictures with them. See if you like the way that they're posing you or directing you. See if you like the pictures that they took of you.
Mm-hmm.
That will really dictate if that's a good vendor for you or not. If you get your pictures back and you're like, oh, they got all of my bad sides, maybe that's a sign.
Right.
Or maybe it's a sign that you need to be more confident because you don't have a bad side girlfriend.
Exactly.
Both sides are good.
Yeah.
So I think meeting with your vendors,
Mm-hmm.
also reading reviews, but take the good with the bad, right?
Right.
It's like the people who go on TripAdvisor and negatively review a hotel in Jamaica because there's too many cats everywhere. Well, there's cats in Jamaica.
Oh.
So I don't know if that can be a valid
Right.
review on the hotel.
Right.
It's like if you came to Minnesota and you're like, well, it snowed.
Right.
Oh, that has nothing to do
Yeah.
with us. That's just a geographical weather thing.
Right.
So make sure when you're reading reviews, take it with a grain of salt and actually read what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
If they're complaining about a vendor being late because of traffic,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Do you really hold that against someone if there's a 5-car pileup on 35W?
Exactly.
But if the complaint is more like we just didn't get along,
Mm-hmm.
then take that into note. Like,
Right.
do I get along with this person? Well, I do. Okay, so then that review I can just throw
Exactly.
out.
Yeah.
Another thing to do is to ask the vendors that you love what vendors they recommend, because if you love their personality and the person they are and the services that they provide, likely you'll like their friends,
Mm-hmm.
the people that they recommend and that they work with well.
Right.
And there's nothing better than a wedding full of vendors who all get along, because then they're working so much harder
Exactly.
and so much happier for your big happy day.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. That sounds so nice.
Yeah, right? And then you're like, I love you, photographer. You're the best. Let's hang out again.
Yeah.
Every day. And they're like, okay, let's do a mini shoot.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Post engagement or post wedding, 1 year follow up, Christmas cards,
Ooh, that's a good idea.
first baby.
Cute.
You know, all the things.
Okay, so then on that, say I get engaged, what should be like my first thing I do?
Celebrate.
Yeah.
Champagne, if you drink.
Yeah.
Cheers. Tell people.
Mm-hmm.
Take a picture of your ring. Is that
Duh.
cheesy?
No.
I'm really obsessed with pear-shaped rose gold rings right now.
Ooh.
Super pretty.
I just pinned one on Pinterest the
Oh,
other day.
you did?
I did.
I just liked one on Instagram yesterday, this morning. Yeah, so definitely celebrate.
Mm-hmm.
Soak in the moment, because this is
Right.
a moment. Don't feel panicked like, oh, there's so many things we have to do.
Right.
There's so many things you have to do in life, period. Like
Mhm.
you have to wake up and put on pants and shower. Like, not in that order, but those are the things. You have to do lots of things in your life. So wedding planning is just one exciting next thing that you get to do.
Right.
There's no rush.
Right.
I mean, don't be lazy about it. But pace yourself, be
Mhm.
excited, soak in the moment. Maybe take like a day, a week,
Mm-hmm.
a month to just be excited that you got engaged.
Right.
You don't need to jump right in.
Right.
And that's what that Pinterest board is for, right?
Yeah.
You can be pinning stuff late at
Right.
night. I'm excited, but we haven't picked a date or a venue yet, but we're
Mhm.
fine. And then really dive into it. And I think the best place to start is picking either a planner, a photographer, or a venue.
Okay.
And then everything can kind of stem from there.
Right.
Also, maybe a date.
Yeah.
That's
I was
probably
gonna say,
important too. Did I not say that?
No.
So pick a wedding date.
Mm-hmm.
Be flexible about your wedding date.
Okay.
Because what if your venue, photographer, planner are
Right.
not available on that date? Or
Right.
what if your cousin, your favorite cousin ever, is going to be out of the country on that
Ooh.
wedding date? So maybe that's a bad date.
Yeah.
Be flexible about the date that you pick. Be flexible about the venue you want to
Mhm.
pick.
Right.
Because what if the venue doesn't have any Saturdays open in September
Right.
and you really want to get married in September?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of venues out there in this world.
Yeah.
You don't even have to get married where you live.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Minnesota is the best place to get married, but you don't have to get married in
Right.
Minnesota. You could get married in Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
Villa Belitza, it's really pretty. Pepin, Wisconsin. I'll take you there
Yeah. I want to go.
for wine. So be
Yeah.
flexible, but definitely just celebrate your engagement right off the bat
Right.
and stay happy, right? There's no need to get panicked or be worried or
Mm-hmm.
everything's going to be great because you have the love of your life and you
Exactly.
both agree that you want to get married
Yeah.
and spend your whole life together. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's super happy.
So fun. Okay, well,
Perfect.
yeah.
Keep going.
I mean, those are all the questions that I've related to weddings.
Ask me
But-
more, Haley. I love talking to you.
Okay, well, how did you know you wanted to become a wedding planner?
I didn't.
Oh.
Oh, I did. I did. Of course I did. I woke up one day when I was 6 and I was
Mhm.
like, I'm going to be a wedding planner.
Right.
Oh, that's your story.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's your story.
Uh-huh.
No, my story is I didn't know. I just have always been planning things.
Mhm.
Always. High school. Hello. Activities planner. Proms.
Right.
Homecoming.
Right.
Pep rallies. All over it.
Mhm.
College. Sorority.
Mm.
Recruitment stuff. Every single week of my life. Like one party we had, it was each room in our sorority was a different country and we had like different native foods.
Ooh.
And that was like a recruitment event. So girls would come and they'd like, I don't know, just eat.
Yeah.
Now I'm saying it out loud. It doesn't seem as cool. We like decorated with flags and
Mhm.
it was very fun.
That sounds like fun.
It was very fun. So that, and then after college, nonprofit organizations
Okay.
events. And then I did my best friend Ellie's brother's wedding in
Oh.
St. Louis. And it was the most fun I've ever had
Okay.
getting paid in my entire life. It was
Yeah.
amazing. It was a blast. It was at this really adorable antique shop called the Heirloom Room.
Mm.
Super adorable. Like the front is the antique shop. The back is like greenhouse, like glass roof.
Oh,
and you
wow.
can just have events back there. And so they had a cute little park wedding.
Oh.
And then they went there for the reception. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
Got back and had the opportunity to invest in a new business.
Mhm.
And this just felt like so right. And so far it's felt so right. And
Right.
just like this podcast, it feels so right.
Yeah.
It's just a good thing. And I really am super passionate about helping brides and grooms be happy while
Mhm.
planning their wedding
Right.
and then be happy on the day of their wedding.
Yeah.
And that sounds so ridiculous, but some people are really stressed out and
Yeah.
not their happiest
Yeah.
on their wedding.
See, I'm a very stressed person, so I feel
No!
like I would be a person that would be so freaked out. So like that's,
And
and I'm all for making people happy.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah.
And it's kind of this thing where you don't really get to prepare. You don't get to have like a dry run of your wedding.
Right.
Or like what are you doing this weekend? Well, I'm just wedding. Like what? It doesn't happen. So
no.
there's no prep really. Like you
Right.
don't get to go through the day as a dry run.
Right.
So when you get to the day, everything is so new, so exciting, so almost overwhelming.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of love. There's a lot of people that are there being like, "Oh, you're so pretty and we just love you. You're going to have a great life. When are you having kids?"
Right.
Like
Yeah.
there's all this thing,
Mhm.
all this stuff. So it just is overwhelming. It just is a lot.
Mhm.
And I love being there because it's not my wedding. So I'm
Right.
not as like,
Right.
I just love being there and being like, it's good. You're good. Everything's good. It's so pretty. You're great. Everything's good. And they're
Yeah.
like, oh, okay. Well, Josie said everything's great. So apparently it is.
Right.
And I think that's just the best.
Mhm.
Weddings are amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I love my husband
Mhm.
and I want other people to love their spouse like
Yeah.
I love my husband.
Yeah.
And this is the best way I know how to do it without being creepy.
Mhm.
And like sending people anonymous love notes. Your spouse to
That'd
be
be-
loves you.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
That'd be weird.
Yeah, but
Maybe illegal. I'm not going to do it.
right.
Any other questions?
I don't think so.
I feel great about this podcast.
I
I'm
do
super
too.
excited.
I'm so excited for it.
I can't wait to hear what all of the listeners, what questions they have about wedding planning,
Mhm.
to answer them,
Yeah.
for them to listen.
Yeah.
You
just
right
learn
now
more.
jogging, what question do you have? Or in your car listening? Pay attention to the road, but what question do you have?
Yeah.
Email me later when you get home safely. All those things. So let's wrap it up. That's
Yeah.
it. Have a
Sounds
great
good.
day.
Yeah.
High
Was-
five. What email? No. I'll put it in the
Show notes, probably.
Yep, and then I'll do it in the outro.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Nikki's here too.
Nikki.